Evening, good morning, hello all. Oh, I'm tired. All right, but we're gonna just get straight into it. I'm just picking up where I left off yesterday on this project. So I've got a couple of streams that are still open, a couple of workflows that are still open here. Show what's on the left about that in a second. Well, but yeah, so I'm essentially on slice 10 now, of many, but I'm not too far off finally linking this up and creating the connection to the personal cockpit with regards to my thoughts and notes and everything else in between. But I did make a slight pivot yesterday, and the stream kind of ended up going left because there was a user in the chat that we ended up kind of going through his system and doing a live peer review. But yeah, lost a bit of time yesterday with that, but it was a useful experience, and you know, he felt it was valuable, and we've ended up connecting now on Discord, so that was good. But yeah, just to get back to this build and kind of realign, I'm going to just do a quick summary of everything that we've gone through so far, and then some of the pivots that I made late last night and even after I cut the stream off, mainly around the rendering here. So obviously, as some of you know, if you've watched the series up until now, I was previously using Obsidian for this layer. But just because of that external tool reliance, and when I finally connect this up to the systems that I want to connect it up to, it's kind of again help with my thought management and my prioritization with ADHD and things like that. I didn't want that sitting in an external system, because as soon as Obsidian updates, I'll end up in a position where I'm kind of stuck and the tool's no longer usable. And then some of the navigation in terms of being able to click into a node and then open another layer of nodes, Obsidian doesn't have that. There are some modules that you can apply on top of Obsidian to try and get that functionality. I tested a few live on stream that just weren't cutting it. So because we'd done a lot of the ingestion, a lot of the logic with regards to the similarity links, how we're actually processing that data, all of that was done in Python. Obsidian was just doing the rendering. It accounted for what, 15% of the work that done up until that point. So it wasn't a big diversion in terms of pivoting and changing directions with what we were doing. So that was kind of the iterations that we made yesterday and the day before, just kind of getting that format out of Obsidian, and then applying some of those rendering and the whole force logic and things like that. So it still behaved in a similar way, but we've now got full control of it, and I can now navigate how I wanted it to. It renders exactly how I wanted it to. I've got the double layers working exactly how I want it to. And then I've also got the differentiation with regards to if I import data from my LLM, it's showing how I want it to as well. And I've got the weighting again working with regards to, you can see the different sizes. The weighting of each node is also pulling through. I just need to tighten up that a little bit more through the next few slices and iterations, but it's not really the core thing here. So I'll be working on that in the next several slices, sorry. And for those who are joining and, you know, hearing me talking about slices and whatnot, this is kind of the philosophy that I'm testing out that relates to window that I've got on my. This is something that I'm looking to implement today and kind of go through this loop that I'm building that's going to allow me to take a bit more hands off a bit more of a hands-off approach to my building. So I'm not having to be the orchestration layer and making every decision within the prompts. I like doing it that way just because it allows me to make every single decision. I know exactly what each file does. I'm not kind of trying to blast it and one shot it, because yeah, when problems arise, you won't know where to start. So with regards to debugging it, so that's kind of why I do it this way. So we've got a TDD approach, so test driven development, and that's kind of, well, there's a whole harness that we need to kind of unpack and discuss, and that is a buzzword that's going around within the AI engineering space. Everyone's talking about harnesses, but everyone's got a slightly different explanation of what a harness is. And in my view, it's just the principles and the philosophy that you're using to actually get systems built. So it's a combination of the tools that you're using, the principles, the governance that you put in place, what models you're actually using, and then how you're ring fencing everything with regards to rules, certain scripts, hooks, skills, agents that you're drawing on, and then all of that collectively through the various layers, becomes your harness and what you're outputting. So yeah, so just to kind of take a step back for may have just joined, and maybe this is the first stream that you're watching. The approach that I'm using here, so I spec'd the build, created a plan obviously within the directory with regards to what I wanted to build, and then we lock that down completely. So there is no editing the locked plans, tweaking the plan as we go, but all of the work is cut into slices, vertical slices. And this is, here people like Matt Pocock talk about this quite a lot, and several others within this space, and some of you might stumble across it inadvertently in terms of just doing work in sprints, and that's kind of what I used to do. I used to just do sprint A, B, C, D, E, etc. But changing it to this way where I'm creating vertical slices, and not doing anything, so not building ahead of a slice that's tested, locked down, committed to the main branch, and then moving on and iterating that all the way until you've got a finished product. So along this kind of process that we've been following, there are certain confidences that I ended up picking up within the system, so that I can actually take myself away from those micro decisions. I still want to have complete oversight and complete control with regards to my code base, but get ahead of myself. We'll talk about the stuff happening on one side of my screen. Better. So I'm just letting this crack on, and I'll explain a bit more in terms of the actual setup. So we created an initial plan. From that plan, we created a ton of rules in terms of everything that I've just described. So we want to follow a specific approach with regards to segregating the work into slices, creating all of the ring fencing and securities around gating the actual work. From there, we've ended up creating what's the word I'm drawing blanks today, but all of my thinking was done mostly in the morning. I'm starting to get a bit tired now, but yeah, so we ended up creating rules, we ended up creating hooks, as well as skills around all of that. So we've got a slice branch guard. That's a Python script that documents all of the rules with regards to how we're actually going to nominate slices, how we're going to ring fence them, certain things that need to be done before that next step can happen. And all of these are triggered on the free tool use event, hook event. That then fires our slice branch guard. And what that does is block the editing of our overall cockpit. So that anything, so let's say for example I'm working on slice 2, I can't go back and edit slice 1, for example's sake, anything that's locked. So it's got all of those definitions in there. It also triggers the protect gate Python script, as well as the test driven development cadence, so that you won't edit the source twice without having the PyTest run in between, and that kind of mechanically forces our red-green rhythm stamp files. From there, I've got several other hook events that are linked up to things like my green commit guard, PyTest stamp, EDD reminders, handoff. And handoff is really, really important. This is again a skill that I've gotten off of Matt's repository, Matt Pocock's repository, but then I edited it just to kind of be more suited to how I like to develop and how I like to build. So the initial skill is just a handoff so it's a handoff just to help you with compacting your context window. So each session I've got instead of just checking the context that I've used, so let's say for example, so if I was to here context, flag up with how much context I've actually used in this particular session, so 120k 28k tokens. So the initial skill was basically you keep checking, and once you get to 140k or wherever your cutoff is, where you feel comfortable, generally around 140k 160k is a good rule of thumb in terms of not clogging up the headspace of your agent. So after that mark, after the 160k mark, offload the session, start a new session, and all that handoff tool was doing, skill was doing was summarizing the context, storing it away, and then when you start the next session, it can basically pull from it, and it helps just keep you going in the right direction, but keeping the context window small. The context utilization and the token utilization small, just so that your agents are not getting hazy and things like that. And then you also then end up burning less tokens because you're having to kind of ask your agent to correct things and it's making mistakes, and then you're just burning away at the tokens trying to dig yourself out of a hole, but you're putting more dirt in there by doing that. So I ended up tweaking that ever so slightly. So I've baked in a hard rule for context checking, so that I'm not having to always / context and then check. So if I've got various things going on, I've ended up actually tweaking that. So you should see it on here, and it should prompt me, to be fair, shortly on this particular window that I'm in. It should prompt after this task is done, but I'll show you on this one here on the left. Pretty sure add just flagged up, but I've set a reminder, so it's got self-awareness with regards to token utilization. I set a lower limit of 135k tokens, so that as soon as it gets to that, no matter what task it's in, it's not going to auto kill the session, but I wanted it to give me I've highlighted it here. Yeah, hopefully you can see that. So I've highlighted here, it's giving me a heads up that the context is 149k. It's past my 140k handoff threshold, and then it's asking me, do I want it to write the handoff and capture this current state so that I can back on the next session. So it's always got that reinforcement. So to save me from always checking at the end of each prompt, it will still add up how many tokens it's used, and it will flag to me. So then that can obviously prompt me to trigger the handoff and then carry on the session, and it will pick up from the session. And then the other thing that we've ended up doing with that as well, all of the session summaries are actually going to my temp folder rather than being stored locally in the project. So again, that's helping keep the context, sorry, not keep the context more, but keep noise out of the actual project folder as well, which ends up burning context, or sorry, burning tokens when your agents are trying to figure out context within your project folder, or trying to figure something out. If you've got a ton of all of these summary documents in there, you're adding unnecessary fluff and load and bloat to your actual project folders. So I keep all of that in a temp folder, and it's logged. So then that's where every single session, at the start of every single session, the hook that I created for the handoff check goes to the temp folder and checks what's the latest logged and time-stamped handoff session or handoff document, and then it draws from that. So then again, the context is somewhere else. I can send a low cost agent to actually go and read that and then bring it back to the actual Opus 4.8 agent that's doing the actual work. So then again, you've got that differentiation, and again, better budgeting and token management, because I'm sending a low cost agent to actually go and do the work and summarize things. Because again, we always forget that some of these like haikus and whatever else, they were still extremely smart agents for what they were. So getting it to read something and understand isn't, you know, like we're not asking it to do an awful lot, you know. So sending the lowest budget or the lowest cost agent to actually go and do some of that dog work and then bring back the summaries, or bring back the information for your more high cost and, you know, star player agent to actually then do the coding or whatever else you're asking it to do, is a good way to manage things like that. So we've got handoff in place, and it was good that I'd pause there so it can do this, and then we can obviously hand off to the next thing. So we've got handoffs working on the project as well. From the handoffs, when you start a new session, there's also a couple more hooks that I've got in place. So once you've finished a slice, or once the agents have finished a slice, we've also got a diagnose skill as well that we built, so that we can code check. But again, the TDD format does a lot of the ring fencing, and it will continue to iterate and iterate and iterate until that task is done according to the spec that you've written. So all of the test scripts in the test.py have to be green for it to actually, you know, report that it's done the task. Without that, if you compare that to, you know, trying to, you know, prompt an agent to go and build you an Obsidian lookalike, for example, right? But you've not defined any tests, you've not defined a spec or scoring criteria, it will come back and tell you that it's done what it can, right? So there'll be certain things that it's not able to do. There'll be certain things that may not be working, like the force or whatever else, or the nodes themselves may be off, or it's missing an element of the navigation. But because you've not defined it, most of these AI agents are programmed to try things a few times, accept certain failures where they can kind of bring you back the result and get that next task. It's a really strange way that they're engineered, but it makes sense because, you know, they're just waiting for the next prompt. But with these rules in place and with these guardrails in place, you end up getting to control it in terms of, do not come back until this slice is completed to spec. Try every single way possible, but it needs to be to spec. So then from that, this is obviously going to make a bit more sense now, and it's a good way to tee it up. But once a slice is then completed, I've got two other skills that are running. One that allows me to zoom out, and this is just a direct pull from Matt's repository, Matt Pocock's repository. But then again, I ended up tweaking it and taking it a step further. So my zoom out, I've combined that with a plan ahead skill, and this is going to loop back round to the loop that I'm building now, so I can be more hands off, because I've tested it and iterated it now for 10 slices across 3 or 4 days with the project that I've been working on this build session. So I've got confidence in that formatting that I can now package it away, because I've not had to tweak anything. All I've done is add more functionality to it, or change certain elements in terms of how it does things, and I'll show you that shortly. So let me waffle things at you. I'm just trying to wait to get to the next junctions, because this is the other thing as well. I don't want to have to be authorizing the running of bash commands. So there's certain agents that do need that hand holding, but then I was doing it initially just because I wanted full control and to have my full bearings within my code base, just to help me debug things. And if I wanted to change things around, I could do that quite easily. So, for example's sake, I defined with my relationships on this, I decided to go for a lexical similarity pairing. So these are all just, again, thoughts that I've had, conversations with AI, notes in my journals and things like that. But I've ended up creating a lexical pairing for them, and that just means that anything that's got similar words or the same words in it, create a pairing for it if it's within the same context. But then the opposite to that was, okay, could have I done a semantic similarity? And that just basically means having the same words, linking them based off of the words having the same meaning, but that would have created a ton more connections and made it a bit more noisy than I wanted it, and then it would have affected the weighting. But because I'd committed this within a slice and I'd made the similarity logic, or the similarity pairing logic, its own individual module, separate from everything else within the ingestion layer. That just means obviously the logic that was pulling all of the data in. I built the similarity logic outside of that, so it's just something that it pulls, so that if I do want to change that in any way, all I'm doing is going to one specific file and changing the script and the logic in that specific file. So that's the level of granularity that I want to have over my code base, being able to kind of have that oversight, rather than sending an agent or sending a prompt out to an agent to say, can you go and change the pairing because I don't like how it looks, and then burn a ton of tokens and then come back with something that's kind of, it's changed too much and everything downstream is now broken. So that's kind of what I was trying to avoid, but at the same time I was building all of this out so that I can create a loop that I will get to explaining shortly. So what I'm actually waiting for now is one of these agents to complete what it's doing, but I've just realized something. I can actually just open a new session and then show you what I mean. So here, I'm just going to open this up and show you one of the skills that I'm using for zooming out and then the plan ahead. So slice 10 is already in flight and nearly finished. I've got a couple tests to do on it, prove, and then it'll be good to go. So what I can run here, So what I can run here is my yeah, my plan ahead. No, so I've set it as a global skill, so just tell it to pull from. But let me just make sure, because I'm working in 2 different directories. In a second, so I'm just going to change directory to my cockpit just to make sure that it's working from there, and then I'm telling it to pull. Tell it, can you plan ahead and start? Sorry, can you zoom out and plan ahead for slice 11? I want to see an overview of where we're at, and then let's start a grilling session for slice 11. Oh, so that's that prompt is in. So what this should do now is trigger our zoom out skill, and it should find it, because obviously I've been in a couple of different folders and whatever else. It may not automatically search from my global skills, because I've got a set of global skills that I've been building, and then somewhere else I've been building local specific skills just for this project alone. So let's have a look. Cool. So that's fine, because I haven't committed that yet. Don't want to do that. We go. Okay, so just wait for it to actually find the skill. So cool. So we've got the look ahead skill that it's found, and hopefully it also finds the zoom out skill in a second. So with the look ahead, it allows us to have a view of the previous slice, and how I've configured this as well is that as long as the slice is committed and there's a full plan for it, and the gates have been locked in terms of I've approved everything within the grilling session, and the gates are then locked, we can then start the look ahead for that particular body of work. So you can see that we've got, yeah, sorry, it's just reading all of the context for where we're at in slice 10. So once it's done figuring out what it's doing, we'll be in a position to, oh, okay, sorry, that's my mistake. That is my mistake. I'm supposed to be planning ahead for slice 12. I'd already started slice 11, so that's my mistake. Right, so this is what it will trigger up. So in this particular skill, I've got it integrated with my Perplexity Pro account, so that any searches or any planning that we're doing, we're always baking in common faults. We're baking in like similarities in other systems, or do you know what I mean, that functionality that we're searching for or looking to put in. And then we're also making sure that all of those points that we've got access to actually compatible with a best case scenario, that everything is built in the way that we've spec'd it out to be built in the previous slice. And what this allows me to do is, once an agent has started work on a slice and is just doing all of its things and whatever else, I can now start looking at what the best option is, or the best direction to go in with the next slice of work. So if I've seen and tested something, let's say for example with my nodes, there were times where I wanted to change the weighting so that it's more of a visual weighting with regards to the size, having relevance, as well as the number of connections, as well as the saturation of the actual node itself. And that's something that came from a look ahead, because I was like, okay, that the structure was working fine. And I think this is actually, it might be worth showing you this within Obsidian, so you can see the previous iteration, because I think it displayed well here, but the limitations were just, yeah. Right, so hopefully you can. You should be able to see that. So within Obsidian, obviously, this had all been programmed. So you got different shades of green, different shades of orange, different sizes of orange, different sizes of orange, different sizes of the nodes as well. But by so you can see here, all of these things were not plugged in within Obsidian. This is all data that I was doing and pushing in via my Python scripts and stuff. But again, all of this was helping me control the weighting in terms of how things were displayed. And there are other things, obviously, tag this, and then all of the other relational data that I'd done within SQLite. To get it to a point where all of the nodes are connected in a specific way. But then the naming convention started to kind of fall off a little bit. The recency wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. But the only thing is, it looked good visually. But again, the data being called in wasn't displaying how I wanted it to. And then I didn't want that reliance on an external system. So that then obviously triggered me to go down this path of changing it, which I explained a little bit earlier. So yeah, so essentially this is just to kind of get back on path. This is what this look ahead skill does for me. In this case, I actually want to stop it because I've quoted the wrong slice. So I don't want to be working from the wrong slice, and then should have actually known better. Because I can see the branch that I'm in at the bottom is actually slice 11. That's my bad. Right, so let me trigger no, I don't need to trigger a new session, so I'll just run the look ahead one more time. But I wanted to zoom out first. Let's zoom out first. And there's a reason why I want to show you the zoom out before we do the look ahead, but I think it's quite clear what the look ahead functionality is there for, and what it does and what it allows us to do. But as I was explaining, I've got this plugged into my Perplexity account, and then from there it triggers my like a grill me session. Again, very custom in terms of the sort of questions that it's asking me, and then again that allows me to do more steering, add more granularity, kind of envelop myself into the code base, and then from there the outputs then formalize the plan of action for that particular slice of work. I then send that to my peer review agent and peer review the actual plan, do any gap analysis and whatever else, and that gap analysis has also got Perplexity baked in terms of just confirming and looking for potential bugs and shortcomings or any gotchas that are out there, because anything that we build these days, there is a form of it that exists in one system or another. It's just all we're doing is just combining different ingredients, but the stuff already exists out there. So yeah, so this is essentially what it will give me. So next slice direction, we've got direction 1, so union ingest. So that's all of my Claude exports, my Claude Code ingest, all of my notes and things like that, putting them all into the actual nodes. And then we've got a currents resurface and reframe, which I spec'd previously. There were a few items that I wanted to change week. So that's one direction that we can go on, or we can actually start the outer LLM layer for my mentor. I shouldn't that public facing with regards to what I wanted to build, but there are a few options in terms of direction that we can go. This option at the bottom, we're not there yet, because I want all of this is being built as a core hub, and a central hub for like a neural network essentially. So I don't want to skip this layer, and this is why I've spent 4 or 5 days on it, where it's just getting it right, because after this the rest of it is easy, and that's what I'll be sitting in most of the time. But the data structure underneath it needs to be correct. The ingestion needs to be correct in terms of how I'm pulling all of this information in needs to be correct. All of the relationships, the weighting, all of that needs to be correct. And then that leads me to my auditor. So not just an auditor agent or anything like that. It's actually an orchestration layer that's sitting on top of my code base, that's constantly running and doing sweeps. And again, that's also triggered by a hook at the start of every single session, or whenever I load up Cursor and do anything in there, it's running and kind of just seeing what's the latest commit. Have there been any kind of branches that have been left unattended or not committed? Have we skipped a step? Is everything still in line with the spec? Not so much like a bug check. It can trigger spawn agents to actually go and debug things, because I think when I spun it up 2 days ago, it ended up running something like 70 odd agents to do a full sweep of the code base, just to tell me that everything was fine, because it'd seen a misalignment where I'd changed my mind. I think it was actually to do with the similarity logic, where I'd changed my mind, ended up doing a full sweep of the code base, just to make sure that everything else had actually aligned, and the original spec had tracked that new change in logic, because you don't want to be in a position where you've spec'd something, locked the spec, and then downstream in your code base, you've ended up then changing your plan, and then but everything that still comes after that is still referencing a spec that's now out of sync, and that's what it ended up capturing. But then it flagged that you've tightly ring fenced this so that no agents can actually go in and edit that, which is good design. So I had to go in there and tweak it just to make that change. But that's why it was good for me to have something like that that's just running and checking back on our work as we're going forward. So that's, again, another good to have. I'm going to park this because I wasn't planning slice 12 just yet, because I'm talking my way through things. I can't multitask. But essentially that's the grill me item, grill me skill. On top of the grill me skill, we've obviously got our harness, which is obviously our memory assistance file-based facts that the agent recalls across sessions. We've got sub agents that spawn in parallel, so they explore, they help me with the planning. I've got all my workflow, so I use a deterministic multi-agent orchestration scripts, and that helps with, as I said, the branch creation, the branch structures as well. So all of the sub branches are named by feature and slice, and it's at the end of each branch of work, I have to actually commit it back to the master branch, and then it will trigger the next hook to create a new branch named the next slice. So again, all of that structure is in place, and all of these things are what make up the features within my harness. Obviously, we've got MPC servers, I've got my Perplexity connected, I've got things like Canva connected, Claude in Chrome, and a few other things that are connected, tool search and things like that. And then I've got my plan mode that helps obviously my peer review and things like that. So all of that is what I've been building, sorry, not building, I've been using in this particular build over the last 4 days, and kind of progressing through my build that way, or because I wanted to create a loop so that I can now confident in the orchestration that I've built. And that's kind of why it's been practiced, but at the same time, I do need this project completed. But it's been practiced so that I can now hand off a few more of these tasks to run more autonomously, not completely autonomously, but I don't exactly want it to be a human in the loop or approvals. I don't want to have to approve things. I just want to kind of now be more of a tech lead, and have faith that the way that I've built the scripts and the ring fencing and the rules and the features that I've actually built into each of these skills as well, all of them combined, and now to a point where I don't have to press no. I can't remember within, sorry, and to be fair, the evidence speaks for itself, because there's 15 to 20 hours worth of footage. I've not had to correct an agent once in the last 5 days in terms of you did that wrong. I've had to make pivots in terms of, oh, can we have this differently? But that was more to do with me just changing my mind in terms of how I wanted the similarity to be linked. But I've not had a single slice come back as failed or has bugs in it. And this is the beauty of building it in this iterative way. And now that I've actually got the confidence in that, this is kind of what I've got now on my hand side of my screen with all of that. This is going to distract me, but I need to put that on the right, just myself. Cool. So this is what I've got on this side of the screen. So I've actually been building a loop for this, and essentially what a loop is all of these items that I've been describing to you. I've basically created a script to combine all of this logic. So it's not a skill, it's not really a skill, it's not really a tool, it's not really a hook. It's a combination of all of the above, but it's running mostly script based. So I can trigger it. I can trigger it on session start. So all the CLI will start off, and the C run will start, and from there, and obviously go forward. It will trigger the initial grow session, so that we can get the plan established. But once the plan and all the PRs and the specs are done, from there it can start the initial slice of work. Once that's triggered and started, it'll get to slice 2. Once slice 2 is in, from there I've built it in a way that the human in the loop element of it, and I haven't implemented it yet, we're still in the live build now. So I want to focus on this and slice 12 at the same time. So I'm actually going to just trigger, should already have put off, for the decision. So let me, all right, cool. So just want to make sure that there is a hand for that exists. I can't remember whether I triggered a handoff for it or not. This looks more summary, like a summary rather than typical handoff summaries. But anyway, so that's kind of what I'm aiming to get done in unison with progressing my cockpit. So I've got yeah, cool. So it's yeah, cool. So it's going to pick up from there. So essentially what this is then going to end up allowing me to do is a lot of the projects that I've got parked, I'm going to just run in this format because, again, this is a philosophy that I like. I've spent several days in it. The data speaks for itself in terms of not really had to deal with errors. And then the joy of it as well is I am still iterating a few projects where I want to be kind of steering and more involved in the code base. But then where I haven't got capacity, I know that I've got something I can be at least confident in. And where I do need to kind of like go in and do more of a deep dive, I've built the slices in a way and the naming conventions and the branches in a way that it allows me to go in and know exactly what's where, which is the beauty of it. So that's the plan, is just to get this shipped out as something I can now package and just run as a build loop with confidence. And this is it's so much better way than trying to one shot it in a single prompt without all of these other things in place, and then you end up in a position where you don't understand your code base. You can't debug errors when things go wrong. You know, if you wanted to update functionality, you wouldn't know the first place to start. You'd end up relying on the agents, because they're the ones that know where everything is. And then at that point as well, if you then employ a new agent to go in and do something, it's having to read through a ton of code that you wouldn't understand, or code base that you don't know where things are in, and then trying to kind of untie all of that just to update something or plug in a new feature or fix or debug something. It's an accident waiting to happen. So to me, this is the best way to engineer. It's the best way to build. And, you know, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not, you know, an AI influencer or anything like that. Just your IT ops guy, but with years and years and years of experience building systems, coding this, that, and the other. You know, my background, I think I was speaking about this the other day on stream, and I don't know why I'm speaking about it now. I'm just flowing at the moment. But, you know, I remember back in the day, there were several Facebook groups that me and a few friends used to be in like late 2012, I think it is. No, late 2015. I was in a house share with five other guys, and all of us were just tech guys. We wanted to build the next best thing. And back then, you know, I was really interested in, you know, just trying to crack SEO, trying to crack Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. So me and my friends always used to have races to how quickly can you get an account to 10k, how quickly can you get an account to 20k, and this, that, and the other. So there was an application that was around back then called Serious Mass Planner. And this was way before ManyChat or anything like that came out. So Mass Planner allowed you to kind of go in and tinker with all the refresh rates and like rates, and you know, really program the comments. So, you know, what do you want to do when someone follows you, and this, that, and the other. And then that ended up it was like a GUI way of doing it, but that ended up getting I think they ended up getting sued by Instagram or something like that. They ended up getting sued by Instagram, and then yeah, it was no more, basically, right? So I ended up having to learn Python just to pick up, because I had clients that were paying me to grow their accounts back then. So going around and tinkering within Python libraries, doing all the authentication, looking at back routes in terms of how to manipulate a browser to think that, you know, that you're actually going in and clicking the things that you're clicking in. We were doing all of that back then. And this just feels like it's why I can't get away from the code base and staring at the screen and knowing exactly, okay, what's this functionality doing? Why can't I put that over there? Why does it need to live in the in my project directory? Why can't I put that in there and then call it? And that's where all of these little tweaks and refinements come from. It's just years and years of just tinkering with things that I shouldn't really be tinkering with, but hey, it's part of life and you learn. It is part of life and you learn. Right, where are we with this? Don't want to ignore this next slice of work because it does need doing. And it's sitting there staring at me. So I will pick it up and get to it in a moment. All right. Just got distracted by something on screen. Cool. So yeah, I already knew that this was mid build. You know what? I'm actually just gonna do nothing with this. That one, killer, because I do need to go back to cool censorship. All right, this is where I was with slice 11. And I had saturation has been restored. So this is what I was telling you about with regards to the saturation. When it would be very, very helpful if I see. So this is asking me, do I want to ship the differentiation, the four independent channels for shape. So the rounded rec, the conventional, the ellipse, the tremor, the vibration. Yeah, so these were all things that were happening on the previous iteration that I wanted to just fix, have all been done. So I've done the test again, right direction, wrong direction. No, this is fine. So we'll ship this. Show you. So this will now commit it to the main branch, and that's for slice 11, so that now when we actually do the peer review and the planning for slice 12, I'm not having to kind of try and hack my own logic that I've created, because we shouldn't really be trying to plan. And to be fair, no, I'm gonna just kill this session because we've tried to plan on something that's uncommitted. It's gonna end up confusing the context. So I've killed that initial look ahead, because that's not the prompt that we want. We actually, so we've got that. It's you're cool when you've looked. Ship. It's ready to go. I've already verified all of this. Yeah. Cool. Let's ship it. All right. Cool. So that's stop get has drifted hard. Less than 6 hours of fast. The tree is clean, but I'm on features like 6. That's it, shows us that 11 already shipped. Activity, no. That contradicts everything. No. Okay, that's weird. Because there's nothing active to ship. So let's got the truth. Okay, cool. The drift the PR scope already happened. Okay. That's why I hate leaving my desk sometimes mid having to close down Cursor mid build. Come back to it and it's like, oh, I thought that was done already. Oh. We need to find where I knew that I shouldn't have done that. Okay, cool. Right, that's fine now. Wrong window. Right, let me just close all of these down before I make more of them. I need to keep this peer review open. Too many things to look at. Which is why I need to get out of this orchestration and just focus on one project at a time and one path at a time, while obviously still leaving my loop to run on, because I mean I don't want it to slow down. I was really impressed actually yesterday, just thinking about it. There's a guy that jumped onto yesterday's live session and sent me a ton of information on Discord and a few of his systems and things like that to review. And it's crazy because we'd worked on something like quite similar, but his implementation was a little bit different to mine. But yeah, no, it was good. It was very good connecting with him yesterday. Very good connecting with him. Actually gonna drop him a message on Discord right now while I'm waiting for this to commit. Okay, cool, nice. Ship rerun, clean before merging, and now the memory's operating. Okay, cool, so nice. So both of those are now in, so there shouldn't be any quarrels as to which is which. so we're now in B2. I'm resuming. And this will obviously just keep now iterating and iterating until that second wave for the tool that we're building that will help us just loop all of our logic. So what I did to kind of get to that stage was to use my auditor just to sweep every single decision, every tool, every skill, every whatever into a core MD file. And then I use that to kind of explain what I'm using each and every single thing for. Not that it wasn't obviously explained already, but just to tweak certain things in terms of if I'm removing myself out of the loop. Let's say, for example, the grilling redundant, because I don't want AI to be grilling another agent about decisions. It just doesn't make sense. So the plan now relies more heavily on Perplexity from a peer review perspective, and like kind of like common issues and things like that. And then once that's all established, I think this is where I was before. I was like, oh, let me show you the handoff. But once a build is already in motion, the orchestrator layer will now obviously do its sweeps and whatever else, but it will use and invoke the look ahead logic, but in a slightly different way, because the look ahead and the grill me will now be merged a bit, just in terms of the human in the loop approach to our loop. I will be getting prompts that I don't have to respond to. There's a window, so if I see the prompt and I say, okay, I want things to work. Yeah, again, I'll just use the similarity logic. That's the last crossroads that I was at in one of these builds. So let's say I needed to make a decision on how I wanted similarity to be handled. If I don't respond within an hour, or I've set it to if I don't respond within 6 hours, depending on what I'm doing and what it's doing, it will make the recommended decision, but then it will park it and not commit that branch to the main repo, so that when I actually do come back to it, I can see the system as is, down the path that it's gone. And then if I do need to make a change, at least it knows where to go back to. And then we can go in a new direction from that. So I've built that in as well, so that it doesn't block the progress, and things can still be obviously committed once I do review and approve it. It's easy to then just commit that to the main branch and for the system to have carried on building. But then within that window of me not kind of interacting with things, it's doing additional audit checks and things like that, and then just to make sure that things are tidy and whatever else. So I've built all of that sort of logic into the loop that I've created, just so that I'm not a blocker, but I've still got steering, because as I said, I'm not trying to one-shot anything. All I'm trying to do is probably spend less time doing these sort of approvals, but I still need to steer the logic that I'm putting into things. I still want to have a bearing in terms of what the system's actually doing, and how the system being compiled and whatever else. But I want to be in the loop, but I don't want to be a blocker. I don't want it to be completely autonomous, because that's ass, and you end up with systems that can't be shipped, and are not updatable and not really swappable. So cool. So I'm pretty sure I've already done the eye test on this, but I will check it out. That's where we're at now, but I'm pretty sure this is cool. So that's doing everything that I want it to do from this perspective. And again, people might look at this and think, oh, well, why didn't you just do it in Obsidian? I didn't want the navigation working the way that it works within Obsidian. I'm not using this to manage the notes themselves. That data lives elsewhere, so I'm not really trying to reproduce that. This is going to be a core hub neural network or something else that I'm actually building to help me with prioritization and managing my thoughts and ideas and projects, and helping me finish a lot of things that I kind of think about and don't have a lot of time to actually spend on them. So this is going to help me kind of reprioritize a lot of my thinking, show me where the density is in the thoughts that I have, just again, and then I'll apply several other layers, and then hopefully we're good to go. So this is verified. It passed 157, 7 skipped, and they're the same 7. This is by design. So memory handoff, Atlas was polished, loose ends, of course, I've given it unhidable. I just need to drop in, I need to drop in my, not my Claude AI export. The Claude AI export was already done. I just need to point it to it and then overlay it into it. Because it's got, these are all my Claude Code guess messages and prompts, but then I've got a ton of other Claude related messages and conversations and things that kind of keep locked in a journal somewhere else, in ideation and things like that. So again, I'm probably going to end up going back to that weighting module, things in there just to get the profile completely spot on with regards to how I want the information to be, to become relative to one another. That looks good to me. 11 is shipped. Cool. So now let me see, let me just have a quick check of the context. Is that just gonna quickly check text, use this and handoff, and then start past it. Cool. So that will hand off, and slice 11 is done and dusted, and now you're going to be able to see what we're going to be doing for slice 12s, how we go through that, then the peer review session, some of the skills that we end up invoking while we're doing that, on waiting for things to happen. Got my my loop that that's being built on the left here, and that's progressing, and hopefully also, depending on how long the stream ends up being, we can test drive that on different project, not this project, just to see how. Cool. Edits to that is the handoff while that's doing. Close off some of these windows. All right, nice. So all of those the slice 2 were good to go. No fails, which is brilliant. All passed. Nothing flagged. Run the suite under 2 hash seeds and verify the free state flow produces the bytes identical artifact across 2 runs with rejected now. So this is just to basically make sure that we can run concurrent sessions. They're not gonna cross over one. Again, what's this? So it's for that logic. I'm working on slice 3, for example. So not me, but once this is automatically slice 3, I still want it to start planning for slice 4 based off of where we're at with slice. That's already kind of ready to go, so we can just hot swap and then keep doing things that way with the iteration. And then obviously once you get to a track that needs my decision, it can then also add that layer on top, and then yeah, we're good to go from there. Okay, so that's the orchestration layer. Okay, and that's the being referred to as the human paste loop plan. Right, so while that is doing that, I will this. Ping off. All right, so back to it. Just waiting for this to finish the handoff. Then yeah, once the handoff is done, I can cool. So put you on this crossing over, because then I end up getting confused as to which I'm working on. Don't want that. continue from this handoff. And then I'm just going to quickly shift tab so that we enter planning mode for that particular one. What shift version? Brilliant. The slice loop is in. Verification. Not flagged anything about context, but I think it's because we're not working within the other project folder regarding context. So it's why I've had to check context on this a couple of times now, because it's a completely independent project for our loop. So I've not got that skill or that hook in that particular environment then for it. So where do you want this session to go? Okay, cool. So let's actually grow. So just you can showcase the grilling skill in action. So it's triggering the and that will fire up and start to ask me some direct questions, and then hopefully with that we can see the perplexity layer and things like that being pulled up. And a couple of times yesterday, in fact, the perplexity layer was doing my head in, again, with how it was booting up. We had several stale states. I had to end up did I end up having to do it was the crypto. It was the key, the crypto key that it uses for the perplexity MPC. There was a weird bug with regards to the cookies. So there was an active session that's authenticated under my pro account, but because it was drawing up a browser, but the time it was waiting for it to open wasn't long enough, so it wasn't recognizing it, so it kept just being in a loop of just triggering browsers. But then because the authentication was on one of the first ones, it couldn't actually see the key for it. It was a really strange bug, and it just kept going and going over a while, and then I'm having to kind of go back and forth with the agent to tell it, like, I'm logged in, I'm authenticated, stop using the native anonymous perplexity search. I want the higher tier search for this. And then I ended up having to change the encryption or the tokenization to look for the pass key rather than the crypto key, and then stored all the session IDs and the authentication in there, so that it was just routing to a completely different place. And then we ended up having to change the hook as well on startup to kill all active sessions, or any stale sessions that are less than, I think, 30 minutes old, just in case obviously I'm triggering a plan me session within short period of time. I didn't want to be getting stuck on the same error as well, so I ended up making those changes as well, just to kind of work around that. But yeah, you end up finding all these like weird quirks when connecting all of these different systems together. Yeah. Cool. So it's gotten its bearings now. It's read the hand me log from the temp folder, caught up in the context, and the file tree itself is actually quite small. Well, just because of that, how we've been organizing the folder structure and the files within this project as well, with all of the summary documentation and anything like that just being sent directly to the C folder rather than, rather to the temp folder rather than within the actual project folder itself. All right, cool. So what we've done. So how do we want? So this is asking me the questions. It's kind of behind my camera. Let me get that for you, so you can see. Yeah, so these are the kind of, this is what the grill end up looking like. So it's asking me, you know, how should the union ingest be invoked, i.e. does one run get fed both my Claude Code as well as the Claude AI export file? Should they live in different places and things like that? So I want multiple path inputs because my local files are saved in one place, and then obviously everything that's happening within Claude Code, the location for those logs are somewhere else. And then obviously same thing with anything that's happening in Codex, the logs for that are in a specific path as well. So I want to be able to just pull in from multiple paths. And then obviously with anything else, with any Notion notes and things like that that I want to eventually pile in here, I want to be able to pull in from multiple paths. So yeah. And then obviously feeding in an answer as well, it then steers it in a specific direction and whatever else. So once we get to the output, or once we get to a position where we've got all of the answers that it needs, we're good to go. So it's gonna have a look. So with multiple input paths, a user can easily pass overlapping inputs, the same paths or the same children directory, so yes, I've already defined this logic with regards to deduplication by no ID. This was passed ages ago because I think I did it in my sample, and I've got the same rule running. And this is why building in a modular approach, you end up remembering exactly what logic, because then at that fork, if I'd have picked a different deduplication logic, it'd have created an impact to the prior work that I did, because we've got the same logic running for inter-project deduplication. So let's say, for example, if I've pulled in something from Claude project, but then I've got the same project name, because I do have this, like, with just slight variations. If I'm doing peer review, for example, I'll have a conversation in one LLM and then a conversation in another LLM, and then I'll do a peer review between the two, and it's within the same time frame as well. So those will obviously have that overlap. So we'd already defined that deduplication logic at node level for the notes and the messages for this for that particular use case. So that already exists. So what's the scope? What's the scope boundary for S12? Is it ingest only or union data? So ingest only. Source visible. No, I want to add the source visibility, because I feel like the slices have gotten slightly too granular, because I feel like the last the last five slices have all been like very minor step ups or minor bump ups in the visuals or the aesthetics or the physics of those nodes. We've spent a lot of time on the nodes themselves, so I want to ramp it up a bit with regards to what we're doing with those nodes. Now to finish the grow. How how should source Claude Code versus Claude AI be encoded in the atlas? Filter, yeah, filter and legends. I don't want it because it's not really. If I can add a filter to it, it means that I've got a data point that I can then connect to elsewhere. So once I add all of my intelligence around it in terms of what I want to do with this actual data, the interface is not really important. It's just a look pretty thing that it's kind of like, yeah, it's just like a central visual. Let me pull it up onto the screen. So it's more of a central visual, but the smarts that are driving all of this behind it need the data points. That's all I'm concerned about, more than what it actually looks like. So whether it's got a little ring around it or not, isn't really moving the needle all that much in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, not having the needle, having a little ring around the nodes themselves isn't moving the needle all that much. So what I want is, obviously, yeah, this looks nice and whatever else. That's all going to filter and change while I'm doing the what all of the compute and stuff like that with regards to the intelligence layer and the functionality that I end up building into this. But I don't want it to take too much in terms of like the scope itself. So that's why I ended up selecting using a filter, because if I've got a filter for it, it means that somewhere else I can make a call and just pinpoint and add more kind of weighting to things as well, because I know that I'm a heavier Claude user than I am an OpenAI or GPT user. Back in the day, yeah, cool, I used to use GPT again in the back end, a lot more of the original agentic workflows when we were doing things in make.com. So there's stuff in there that I can probably pull out, but again, the use of being able to differentiate because one's got like a red ring, for example, and one's got a blue ring around it. It doesn't really move the needle much. I don't really care about that. But if I can click a button and filter, and it's like, okay, cool, this is one LLM, this is another, this is your notions, ideas, there's all your notes from X, Y, and Z. And then I can do an interconnection through between them that way. That's going to be more worthwhile in terms of what I've got in store for the intelligence layers that are being built on top of this core neural network of my notes and thoughts and whatever else in between. So how do we gate the client? How do we gate the client source filter so it can't silently drift? So we'll mirror the slice 11 transaction, and that's going to be the best way to do that. Just already trigger a handoff and continue for this. Done. Pretty sure distracted. I'm just getting that handed off so then I can start slice free for my tool. So what's been built is the block state, the content propagation, one human action shapes both, decisions and the resolve contract has been done, content propagation, cool. So this shouldn't really take static signals in the top tier, judge and wire, edge capture. Okay, cool. That's fine. This shouldn't really even take that long to build in terms of the stuff that I'm doing on the left with regards to the loop, because the logic already exists for this. It's everything that I built manually that I was talking about at the start of this stream, with regards to all the hooks that I've built, all of the skills that I've got running on this particular project, all of the tools, all of the connections, all of the everything in between. So that all already exists. All we're doing is refining a couple of them and then grouping them so that they can actually run concurrently. And then we're also changing how some of these are triggered. So on session, we're adding the siren in terms of triggering things that way, and then making sure that the session can actually run uninterrupted throughout the whole lot. And we've got all of the error logging. Everything else has already been defined in specific slice definitions and slice loop logic. All of the test driven development logic already exists. We've already got all of those ring fences and guardrails in place, so it shouldn't really be. We're not reinventing the wheel. All we're doing is putting things together in a logical way, so it can run smoothly. So we're getting that to continue from there. What's this doing on the left? Cool. We'll let that do its thing. While it is doing that, what are we doing? Let's having a quick check. So I've gone through I've gone through all of the gating, what the harness blocks us from doing. I've already talked about that. All the protection gates, all of the gates being armed and things like that, that logic, we've gone through that all already. The commit a red suite, commit a green guard, test failing and no commit, all of that. TDD cadence, we've gone through all of that as well. I was hoping I can actually get to the end of okay, that's really deterministic, but I'm hoping, maybe that's a better way to phrase it, I'm hoping I can get to the end of this this build for this loop, just so that we can actually test it today. But it's not the end of the world if we don't. We can obviously always test it on tomorrow's stream. Might be better actually that we test it on tomorrow's stream, because then I'm going to end up getting carried away and streaming for a lot longer than I intended, because I didn't end up sleeping yesterday until 3 or 4 o'clock. So I don't want to do that again today, because it was rough trying to wake up to get my daughter to school. I also actually want to start, man, I can't really praise this guy enough, but yeah, he really encouraged me yesterday as well to start posting my skills into my public Git repo. So probably from tomorrow's stream, I might actually do that tomorrow, or tonight off stream, and then share the link to that tomorrow on stream. So for things like the updated handoff logic, just so that you don't have to worry about always budgeting your tokens, or remembering to kind of hit hit the check on where you're at in the context with regards to token utilization or token usage. So I'll share those. I'll share the handoff. I'll share the look ahead skill as well. But obviously all of these things are great to have or great to add, but what I would encourage is actually review it and see if it's actually a good fit for your frameworks and the approach that you take to building, because we're all different. We all, some people would rather just one prompt and build from there, but I try to go through things in a very methodical and planned out route, where I've got quite a lot of touch points. I'm trying to break away from that just so I can get more done, but I do prefer to handhold my agents where possible. But because of that, it's allowed me, as you're seeing, to build a loop that should now be able to run without me doing all of that, and still get as good results because of all of the auditing and the guardrails that we've placed in there. So because even with the guardrails, I'm still having to go through it step by step. It's been practice hours, and kind of sense checking and making sure that it is going in the right direction, so then I can offload it into a loop process. And then I might have this loop running for a while. I might need to change it after a while, but I won't know all of that unless I'm going through certain things in this rigorous manner, because there might be steps where I prefer maybe not to have Perplexity doing something, or there might be a new tool that I want to use to debug, or I might want to change the checkpoints with regards to when I run an audit, and things of that nature. And let's say, for example, now I want to do a feature update and things like that. What will that particular item look like? So it's all of these things where I want to kind of go through things in this format, where I'm going through it, still obviously using agents and running multiple streams up and down, but being able to go through it this way allows me to build forward, as well as add rigidity to my loops that I end up creating, because you know exactly where the gaps are at, you know exactly what features you want to use, you know exactly what steps you're having to do repetitively. So for example, the Perplexity usage and things like that, and the peer reviewing, because I've got a peer review checkpoint now actually for slice 12, so middle now, is a draft of the plan based off of the grill me session. So I've got to go through this now with and get my bearings around it, plug it into my peer review agent, and then see what the gap analysis comes back as, and then act from there. But things like this, where I'm having to repeat certain things, anything that you have to repeat, end up creating, you can create a tool for. That's what it's good for. Anything where you want your output to be exactly the same every single time, create a hook for it. You can create a skill for it and whatever else, but a hook is more, you're using Python and whatever else to actually ring fence certain rules, trigger certain things at a specific time. You can then obviously further guardrail that with rules running from your settings.json. You've got a ton of things at your disposal to build all of these things into your system, into your development, into the way that you're actually engineering systems, but without going through it the methodical way, you become unstuck in terms of plugging and building these modules and refining your workflows and things like that. But yeah, this is the framework that I'm currently using. It's working well for me with regards to not really encountering bugs and things like that. No haziness from my agents. You've not seen me once have to right, or why have you done that, or the output is wrong. Nothing like that, because the session context is within the smart zone. I'm not bogging down my repo with random context that doesn't need to be there. I've not got a ton of files and things like that shouldn't be in there. Everything is done through the temp file. It's just a very lightweight way to build, and with doing it in slices and layer, I'm verifying that I'm happy with every single step while I go forward, rather than getting something at the end and thinking, oh, what the heck is this? This isn't working. And then your project has to sit there stale. And someone like me with ADHD, I can't work that way. Sorry, putting this over here so I can just actually open up the peer reviews. So while that's running, just staring at us, something to do. Confirm this is sort of static green implementation. The peer review session has started over there. And I can actually now. No, I don't want to close that just yet. Different peer. So yeah, and once obviously this peer reviews come back, we've done the gap analysis. It's running everything through Perplexity as well, just stress testing some of these ideas, finding common bugs, and we'll be able to feed that feedback back to the agent to then kind of revise the plan. And then we'll be able to start Slice 12's body of work and do the same thing. And that's the approach. We literally just repeat that process, all the way until the application or the project is completely built, completely committed and shipped. And yeah, that's the approach going on the right. And then on the left hand side of the screen here, we're building the loop that replicates all of that, but removes me as the orchestration layer, and we systemize the orchestration layer because, as I said, all of this logic already exists within all of the rules, the guardrails, and the various Python scripts and various other scripts that we've got running that enforce all of these rules and the cadence and things like that. but yeah, as I said, I'll I'll make an effort. Tomorrow's a slightly busy day for me, so I'm not sure what time I'll actually get to do all of this. I might do it off stream tonight, and commit these things to my Git repo, and then at least that will be a link that I can add to tomorrow's stream, so that if anyone is watching and from today that wants to pick up the MD files for those scripts, can do so. I'll probably drop a template as well in terms of the orchestration layer, and then an image in terms of the frameworks, right? So you can implement the same thing if you want, customize it, do it your way. I'll create something so you can just see the architecture, the frameworks that I'm personally implementing within my projects. And then yeah, you can customize it, give it a go. Might not work for you. You might want to try and do things a bit faster. But yeah, I'll tell you, coming from me, once you hit a roadblock doing it that way, you spend twice as long trying to unpick and figure things out. I've not hit a roadblock yet in 4 days, but spending, let's say for example, I'd have probably spent 2 days maximum, if that, or maybe like a day at a push, depending. Sorry, I'm saying 2 days as so I've got 2 days to work solidly on this. But let's say for example on a weekend where I've got time to sit there and bash this out, 2 days is enough to completely vibe code something and get to the end product. But then the moment that you try and test certain things or certain aspects and then hit a stumbling block, that's it. You've had it. A couple of I'll say a couple of months ago, maybe. Yeah, April there was a project that I was working on, and it was kind of, I was building it alongside another project that was urgent that I was working on. So I'm building this tool that I've made solid progress on since then. You know, it's probably 80% of the way there in terms of shippability, and this is something that I can probably commercialize now. So I've built the system out, and then only to realize it's like a messy repo where there's a ton of things that are not committed. There were a ton of things that, and it's because there were certain aspects of it where I was tired. I've just pressed accept or just prompted for certain things to be developed and let Cursor, as a native Cursor, the Claude agent within Cursor, just to do its thing, right? It's changed a ton of things. I've noticed that there were navigations within the navigation. There was a secondary navigation on the next frame, things like that, where it was forgetting basic routing, because I wasn't implementing my kind of like frameworks as strictly as I should have. And then I was also over reliant on the agent being able to just remember to check in with the directive that I'd set at the beginning to say at each prompt do X, Y, and Z. And even building that way where I was still trying to apply best practice, I was still falling short because I was relying on the agent. H2, the fixture forces the mix, NT force a mix project. Yeah, that's fine. A bit of platform, but I'll share the source with in the personal currency. Yeah. Label map is fully dynamic. Can't see it because the camera is hiding it. Right. So, how to resolve a dynamic enumeration versus the literal adapter name contradiction. Label plus map plus dynamic checkboxes hard coded. Source label fully enumerate everything from a data node. Replace the literal name as the data. Lose 9 and drift tripwire. And then doing it this way dissolves the check, so mirrors test 11. Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll mirror what we locked in slice 11. That's fine. Yes, as I was saying, that, yeah, doing it that way, even when you're trying to implement best practice, these agents have a mind of their own. Once the context is not there, they will still rush, because it's like they're adrenaline junkies, they're dopamine addicts or something. It's just they just want to come back to you with something positive, like, look boss, I've gotten this done, right? Rather than taking time to actually check in that simple directive that you've set in the Claude.md. You've set it at the top level, but even that's not being honored. That wasn't being honored, and I was using the, I think it was Opus 5.4 or 5.3 at the time. I can't recall, but that was back then. So me doing it this way is because I've been stung by trying to jump on the let's vibe code it hype train, right? So I can't really go wrong with doing it the way that I'm doing it now, and at the pace that I'm doing it now, because it's allowing me to then systematically stress test these approaches and then create the loop that allows me to then iterate this faster and scale it. Slow down so you can go faster. That's the approach. Cool. So peer review's done. With items that have been cited. So I'm going to just quickly press no, keep planning. And then make sure I'm actually on the right window here. That's fine. Cool. The plan. Yeah, the plan. Here's the peer review for your plan. Plan. Thank you very much. Close those gaps. And then once these gaps are closed off, okay, cool. So this is a sharp peer review. It caught a real internal contradiction in H1. Yes. The coverage hole, subtle rule, H3, I'm still in plan mode. The exit was rejected, so I'll amend the plan file and represent it. Cool. So, and again, see that simple manual step of, cool, let me take it to one of my how you doing, bro? So let me take it to one of my planning agents, get the feedback, and then I'll plug everything back in. That's now working. So when I iterate that particular step as well in okay, cool. So slice 3 is done. So I'm gonna quickly so I just want to just quickly check slice 3. So I'm getting it to run the diagnose skill. And this is on the main loop that we're building. So it's sitting within a different directory. So it's Yeah, I'm all good, man. I was shouting you out earlier on the stream. I was shouting you out. I was shouting you out. You encouraged me to actually go through a breakdown of all of the skills that I'm using, all of the tools that I'm using, all of the I'm currently actually building a loop at the moment, just so that I can iterate all of the things that I was doing manually on the right hand side, just to kind of get the iteration of the framework that I'm using down. I've locked it in and I'm building a loop for it, so then it can just run autonomously. But yeah, because if you see, you asked me yesterday about skills, so at the start of this stream, that's kind of what I was covering in terms of what skills that I'm using on here. And just for you, I'll send you a link probably tomorrow morning my time. I don't know where you're based. I didn't even ask you. That's rude of me. Where are you based? And obviously, yeah, hi Dante as well. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I'll send you a link to the handoff skill. I'll send you a link to the handoff skill. Yeah, it was for you. I'll send you a link to the handoff skill, the grill me skill, the peer review skill, and then the zoom out skill as well, just so that you can have a better bearing in terms of where your agents are within the grand scheme of things. And then a few hooks as well. So for handoff and better token utilization as well, and minimizing your token window for each session as well. I'll put all of those into my public Git, and then I'll send that across to you, and then I'll just keep those shared. Give me feedback, and then so just when you've used it, let me know how you get on with it. Customize it, feel free. Same thing that I did. So yeah, I'll get that over to you. Yeah, exactly for that, because I think I was saying how impressed I was with that project. I was saying that at the start of the stream. It was good to see it. It was really good to see it. Yeah. Right, so let me see. So where was I with this? Cool. So slice free, it's running nurse, loaded, discipline, build feedback loop. Here's the issue, no failing signal. Point right now, slice free works green, harsh, okay, cool. So cool, so that's done. You'll explore it to the limits, funny guy. Right, so I will get that offloaded. I want to now start trying for yeah, let's do it as that. Cool. So we're getting a stress test on that. Yeah, I had a look a little bit earlier, but I didn't get to spend too much time. I ended up getting distracted. So I will have a look at the additional links that you sent me. I was a bit busy during the day today. And then obviously I'll invite you as well to the Discord, because that was another thing as well that you encouraged me to do yesterday, is actually set up the server, so then I can start posting more in there as well. So I've got Claude Code, finishing off the Discord server as well. It's pretty much all already built out. I just need to add a few bots and things like that, and then yeah. And then you know what I saw as well, bro? I saw that you play Ark Raiders. I love that game. No, thanks, man. I'll invite you to the thing and I'll make you a mod. But what I'll be doing, I can post things there as well in terms of what I'm looking at, any skills that you want to test or anything like that. I'll create a channel for specific skills as well. Also loaded already, no bugs in this case. Standard slices plus 2 hashes, next build slice for name slices verb. Okay, cool, so that's fine. So let me just quickly check. We're at 95k, but I don't think we're going to be able to get that within 50k tokens. So I'm actually going to do so yes, I'm just triggering the handoff skill. And yeah, this is probably going to be one of your favorite ones. The handoff skill, just it really keeps your project folders tidy, hands everything off, and then it's a skill, but it's also linked into 3 hooks as well. So it starts on every session, it's looking for the most recent handoff, and then when you're handing things off, it's loading things into a folder within your temp folder on your C drive, just so that it keeps everything completely out of the oh, nice. Yeah, it's a really nice way to manage your token utilization. I ended up, yeah, I made it the present. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is as well, you can, if you mix it with a hook, I'll send you the script or the line of code that I ended up using, but you can tweak it in a way that it always knows the context. So I think there's a directory. I can't remember the exact logic that it was using. I'll check for you in a second. But you can tweak it in a way so that it's constantly counting the context window, so that you don't have to trigger it. It will remind you that, oh, you know, you're at 140k tokens or 100 and whatever threshold you want to set, so that it will remind you automatically, rather than you having to do / context to check the context utilization. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So then you drop the summary file into the C drive. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't hallucinate. So you drop the context the context in summary into your temp folder or any folder outside of your project folder, and then it just creates a reference and everything like that. So I'll send you those are the things that I want to upload to Git tomorrow, but I'll send you the specific folders on Discord, so that you've got them directly. Okay, cool. So handoff is completed. Right, so let me just quickly start a new thread for this. Yeah, no drama. If you haven't got them by, you know, in the next 8 hours, just message me, but I'll send them tomorrow morning. It's only a matter of just, yeah, I'll drop you the code directly. Yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'll also put, I was saying this earlier, but I'll do a diagram of my frameworks in terms of just what the actual frameworks looks like in terms of all of the layers. So the rules, where you put the rules, where you put your agents and things like that, where you put your MDs, where you put your plans and specs, and then where you plug all of your hooks, where you plug all of your skills and your calls and things like that. And then what methodology to use, whatever else like that. So I'll put an actual architecture document together as well. So then you can then implement that on any project that you're building, and then just tweak it to fit what you do. Because I think yesterday, from looking at it, you're doing quite a lot of stuff that involves APIs and pulling data as well. And it was good to see that you still had that logress tracing and everything like that set up as well. So that was good. So you can then tweak that for your own use case, so that you've got a roadmap of what you should actually be building system wise every single time, so that you can then feed that into your agents, so that they know what the roadmap is as well. So again, that you're always building that context. Yeah, no, it's good. No, I really love that your system that you showed yesterday. Because I've got something similar, but it's not as good as that. I've got something similar that I was working on. I was talking about it just before you joined. It's a project I was doing back in April, just for live monitoring of all of my agents and things like that. But I really like the view that you've got, and then the functionality that you've then added on top of it. It's really, really nice to see. Oh, is it one of the links that you sent me? Because I'm thinking of the DMV one that you showed me. Oh, okay, yeah. If I've got it, I'll definitely look. As I said, I didn't have enough time earlier today to check it out, but I'll have a look. Yeah. ARP. Okay, cool. I'll note that down now. I've got your thing in front of me anyway. I've got your DM in front of me. Yeah. I think you've just sent it again. Nice. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. I've just received. I've just liked it. So yeah, thanks. So it's always good. I get more work. I get more work done on this when I'm not streaming. But at the same time, I'm trying to stream more as I'm working, just to help me kind of get my speaking through things that I'm doing skills up, to improve my presentation, just to get me outside of my comfort zone. I don't like not being good at certain things, so I try and force myself to do it, just to improve my public speaking, to improve my explanation skills, improve my communication, things like that. Yeah. But again, and it also just keeps me focused as well, because sometimes you sit there and you wanna oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Send it across to me. Yeah, send it across. Because you sit there sometimes when you think, oh man, I want to get this done, get that done, and you end up getting distracted or this, that, and the other. But at least with this, for the last week or so, it's focused. It's helped me just sit and just get work done. But then there were times where I'm like, oh, but if I'm talking and then trying to work and then I'm getting myself distracted, I'm not working as fast as I would when I'm not talking. But at least it's keeping me consistent, which is the main thing. So yeah, and it's helping me document what I'm doing as well, in terms of like my progress and whatever else. Cool. So green, full system, nice. So yeah, so all of these bits will just be really fast passes, because as I said, the slice branch logic already exists. I'm already using that over here on the right hand side. This is something that was already in my frameworks, so we're not really reinventing the wheel here. All we're doing is just giving the scripting the ability to also the guardrails to actually create the slices and the test slices and the test pi and whatever else like that. So the pi test. So all of this logic already exists. We're already incorporating this manually on the right hand side. All we're doing is just systemizing it on the left hand side so that we can create a loop, so that I'm not going to have to sit here every single day and work through each and every single build in this format where I'm having to click things manually and go step by step by step by step. Because gone are the days where we have to sit here and kind of prompt each and every single step or approve each and every single bash command. But I'm doing it this way just so that I've got all the data, all the signals, all the touch points that I need to make the system, so systemization that we're doing on the left hand side for the loop that we're building, more reliable. Because all it takes is for one aspect of this to go wrong, and then we end up with just a system that's just really poor. Because if it misaligns on one track, we end up in a position where instead of having an 100% accurate product at the end, we've got 70 something percent accurate products at the end that's way off, and then you have to unpick it and whatever else. So I just want to just have this as robust as possible from the get-go. Yeah, thanks. I've got operating system, global uniformity, intelligent properties. Premium psychology. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So, with the Big Pickle article that you've just sent me, I don't know if you're still online, but there's one that I use for me particularly. So I showed you that dashboard yesterday that I use, but I created a skill called again, it was a combination or cocktail of a few different things that I found, and then just my own twist on it. But it's called Good Taste. You might have heard of it. It's quite a popular Git post. Okay, nice. Okay, yeah. But you can merge these skills as well, man. You just gotta make sure that you put it in the right place. So with regards to anything that's visuals, put that in your rules directive. Don't put it in your spec, your initial spec. Put all of that in there. Anything that's kind of like set in stone that you want it to be respected and not changed and anything like that, put it in your spec, and then create rules where you can test it and test the guardrails, so that at the end of each sprint that you're doing, you can actually go back. Exactly. Yeah, good taste is good. So I used that and then I tweaked it, because I think Good Taste was initially more for web design, but then if you're building like an application or a dashboard and things like that, I ended up tweaking it because it's not the same format, it's not the same kind of information hierarchy. So I ended up, my version of Good Taste has things like hierarchy, respecting things like primary information or visual signals, and then if I'm building a dashboard as well, I've got a version of Good Taste that's more for like dashboard. And you saw the one that I showed you yesterday, where you've got information prioritization. What am I actually trying to communicate? What are the most important signals on here that tell a story? If it's repetitive information, remove it. respecting the rules of thirds and things like that, rather than it being more about like the WebKit and importing Bootstrap, this and the other. You have to have it as try and customize it, because if you're not building something as a website, because a lot of your things are dashboards as well in terms of what you showed me, so try and tweak a lot of the skills. That's what I always try and encourage people. If you've got a skill that you found that's working well, make sure that you tweak it and customize it for what you're building, because the initial good taste was just for websites, but a lot of the things in there are not really best practice. If you're using it for your dashboards, it might go wrong. What about this? Let me check. You sent me something new. Having an agent analyze all of that in the background, like past work, then override the full report. It will score, so he will use it to train himself. Same mistake again. Yeah, that's that's like an audit layer. Yeah. So that's like an audit layer, but again, you still have to set it. I would set that up as a hook, and obviously create the skills for it. But you'd need rules in your settings MD in terms of, let's say for example, if it's then provide you a report, because let's say for example it's reading through your code base and things like that. You need to be able to govern which models actually, so which models it's actually spawning up as well. So if it's just reading context, you don't need Opus 4.8 to do that. Use Haiku. If you're doing it to kind of like just review your full code base, is it going to be your full code base that it's doing that on? So things of that nature. But I've got sorry, don't even build it. Don't build it as an agent, dude. Build it in Python. So again, I'll send you a script for my, just have a look. Obviously you don't have to follow it. But I've got an auditor that's doing exactly that. But for mine, it's reviewing my last 2 commits to Git, because it's already got a scoreboard and a report for everything else. But every time I commit, it's logging and running in the background. So if I just spin it up now, reviewing your conversations. Okay. Yeah, then, but what would you be getting out of that though? What would be, what are you trying to do with the information? So let's say for example with the scoreboard, what would you do with that information? Got it. No. It I think I understand what you mean. So let's say for example it messes up on context. And then you're just trying to see what actually caused it to misalign, like what caused it to drift. I see what you mean. The only kind of like if you attribute, okay, about what he did good, okay, yeah, and then also telling him what good and what he did wrong, okay, yeah, I get you. And would it be coaching you or coaching the agent in terms of? Is the agent giving you feedback on what you did wrong, or giving feedback to what the agent that you're talking to did wrong? Build it, man. Okay. Yeah, build it. Let's see. Wait, you're saying sorry, man. You don't need to say sorry. Okay, you're coaching the agent. Okay, got it. That would be funny. Nah, but it's I see what you mean. Maybe just do it as a peer review. See what it thinks. Or just tweak an audit skill. Yeah. All right, man. That's all good. I've probably got like what? It's 2.5 hours already. I've probably got like 10 minutes more in me, and then I'm gonna sign out of this. I'm just trying to get to this. Okay, cool. It might even be short. It might be now, because yeah, cool. So at least I've gotten to the end of this slice, which is good, and then I want to get to the end of this slice on the right, so that I've got a solid endpoint. I've been going for 2.5 hours already. Yeah. I'll check it real quick. The ERP? There's a slight error. It's not, the translate is not working in Edge. I'm gonna try it in Google. Yeah, it's not, the translate's not working. Just check it on your side. It might be me. I'm just trying it in Chrome. Okay, remove the translate's not working on the buttons. It leads to another website as a proof of contents. I like the landing page, don't get me wrong, it's nice. I like the theme, I like the hover over. I like the mouse glow. The only feedback that I'd give initially is just check your translate. Your translate. I don't know if you've used any kind of Bootstrap to do the translate if you're doing it via Google, but it's not working on the buttons. It's only a few words. It's only a few words that are translating across. I'm clicking, like, you've obviously okay, I've just seen the toggle for English or Arabic, but it doesn't translate everything, is what I'm saying. So even with that, cool, when I toggle it to the other way, it's fine and it shows, but there's still some words that are not translated. Yeah, but I like it anyway. It's nice. I don't know if this is my monitor. Might need to change the, okay, yeah, that's the other feedback. So the rendering is actually bleeding in terms of like the color, you know, like when you've got a gradient, it's breaking out. So I've got one monitor that's sitting on 4K and then another one that I use for gaming. Yeah, but it's yeah, just okay, cool. That's the feedback that I'll give, and I'll showcase obviously at another time, because I do need to log off. My daughter needs me, and then I need to get to bed. Show and stream. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it on tomorrow's stream 100%. Don't worry. I do need to log off. Yeah, cool. So this is all working. Cool. All right, and dude, I'll catch you tomorrow. I'll send you all those files across in the morning as well. If I don't, just get at me on Discord. And yeah, we'll catch up tomorrow, man. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in again. And I'll catch you in the next one. Yeah, and I'll have a look at the pricing. Yeah. All right, nice one. Thank you so much, man. Have a good night.